And we are live.
Stupid Twitch is still making me watch an ad, so I can't like pause this little thing. Hey everyone, it's Ultra Podcast Z. Oh, I hear myself. Hold on, I finally stopped playing the ad. Okay, there goes. Ultra Podcast Z episode 20 something. It's the first week of anime, and we're doing some anime bullshit as always. And I'm Manuel, Mr. Anime. And joining Mr. Anime today, it's some more anime bullshit.
What are you talking about? I'm the cutest idol in the world.
Are you really?
How
So
can
yeah. Can't tell if winking or yeah, are you winking or twitching? I was thinking that too. It's like wink wonk.
I think I'm mostly twitching.
But no, introduce yourself. Give yourself a introduction of sorts.
Longtime anime fan, cosplayer, Lolita fashion aficionado, big idol fan too, big shoujo fan. So, and I dive into a whole bunch of different anime categories. So we can talk about a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, we have a lot of and technically joining us as well. I say technically as if they're not here. JD, you picked this topic, and are you gonna do a little 9 anime as well?
I wasn't planning on it, but I believe I have mine ready. If not, I can have it done in a couple minutes.
Oh,
so
if not, that doesn't really matter. The only reason I bring it up is like you care to explain, and I could, but I just feel like you'll explain it better about the main topic of today. I'm sure we'll get off topic a million times. Like
I know you will, Manuel.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell everyone how I met. How I originally met our current guest, whose name I cannot pronounce because my tongue doesn't work this way at the moment. Merliwuv? I'll call you Merle. Merly. I'll call you Merly. So Merly sounds like a cutesy way of saying Merlin. And specifically, have you ever seen like when they sexify Gandalf? I just imagine Merlin in a bikini now.
Have you not seen Seven Deadly Sins, Manuel?
Have I not seen Seven Deadly? Is there a sexy Merlin in Seven?
Yes, there's a sexy Merlin.
Seven Deadly Sins Merlin. Oh, there is.
You know, there's a female Merlin in FGO as well.
Well, everything's in FGO. I didn't know it'd be a female Merlin. Let me see. FGO Merlin.
Type in female, so you get the right version.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there is a male. It's funny because I already see it mixed in.
So yeah.
Ooh.
Anyways, what we're doing tonight, we're talking about like the anime that best kind of capture who we are. To do this, we've made 3x3s, which are just our top 9. They're not, or the top 9 to describe us. They don't have to be in any specific order. Some people do put them that way. Actually, generally, I put my favorites toward the center whenever I do that.
You see, I didn't do that, but when I was done, I was all like, well, we'll show it on screen later, but just to cut the chase real fast, Chobits is in the center of mine, and I didn't intend for that.
Spoilers, Manuel.
Yeah, spoilers. And I was like, I don't like Chobits that much, but I'm stupid. I didn't mind in order, like as if you're reading it, like starting from the top left, reading it, listing stuff.
In random order, I did not put
it.
Honestly, that would have been better.
It doesn't matter as well.
Yeah, like it wasn't. I think it was our own version of anime. Because I think it was during May, but like 2020 May. Before JD was like modding and hosting the podcast. Me, Ren, and Yaro did a similar thing. Well, not similar, but we did one of those anime bingos, but we did it live, and like we each chose. I forget how much is in a bingo. I think that's like 25 or 20 something. So we each split it up by however many. And there was a shuffle button when you made that, though, obviously, because it's bingo. So when you were done, you would just shuffle it. And I kept thinking that the thing we made, like our little 9, would have a shuffle, but it didn't. And I was like, oops. Well, this is kind of in order if you just read it a certain way. Because I just didn't want Chobits in the middle. This is all about Chobits. It's a Chobits podcast.
Okay.
Underpants.
Can we skip that part of Chobits?
Manuel, does that mean your reset button is there too?
Yeah. I said yeah. Did you hear me say yeah? I don't know. That wasn't what I thought you were going to say. I think we say like, did you? I already said yeah. Anyway,
Okay, Manuel. Let's start with yours because it's already on here.
Okay, it is. Well, are we doing are we doing onesies and splitting it, or are we just doing our whole
No,
list
we'll
and
do
moving each other's?
yours. We'll go through yours first, and then we'll go through Merle's.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we can come back around. Have you seen Chobits?
So yours is on the screen right now.
Hold on, I just want to pause it so I can see it myself. I mean, I did it, so I know
Yeah,
it's
you're the
on
one who
there.
made it, Manuel. I hope you can tell. You want
That
to
is
walk
so
us through?
big. Make that move
Yeah,
that to the side or something. It's like on the screen, like super big.
yeah.
This is. I don't exist anymore.
I know. Like, and I have to like.
I wanted to make it so people could, actually, I moved the wrong one.
Anyway, I'll start with Chobits because I already mentioned Chobits. And it's funny because I actually have a couple really
Just
fast stories to
make
Chobits.
it smaller and then just put us on the side. That would probably make it easier.
Just cover up the top part of chat with it.
Yeah,
That's
I got
fine.
it, Manuel.
Anyway, what was I saying? Chobits. Oh, Chobits. When I was younger, first of all, I saw most of these circa when they all came out. Funny enough, well, I'm not old enough for some of them, but when it came out in the West, and Chobits, was like about the time I was in high school. I remember specifically, I had this friend of mine, who I talked about before. It's like when the friend who showed me Napster and shit like that. He was really into Chobits, and we were like little young delinquents. So I remember like, um, I swear every story revolves around this, and I'm gonna one of these days. Well, the store doesn't exist anymore. We went to a Suncoast, and I think we stole some of the Chobits. We stole some anime, and Chobits was amongst them. And I remember watching it, and I remember watching the first couple episodes of Chobits, and like in the dub, it's all underpants, 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 which is the line I kept saying earlier. For those who don't know, she shows up naked, and one of the first hijinksy episodes is the dude has to buy her underwear, and that was a lot of first. Like I like to say, like I keep telling the different stories about, oh, this is the first anime I ever bought, meaning it's anime, but this was one of the first. And I think this was the first anime that I liked so much that I wanted to read the manga, and it for sure was the first anime that I was like, oh, the manga is so much better. Like, why did the anime ruin it all?
Wait, how's the first anime you say that to? That applies to almost every anime.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, like I didn't realize that was going to be a recurring theme at the time, but Chobits was the first one where I really thought that. Also, that friend of mine, the one I mentioned, that showed me Napster, he also introduced me to like hentai online, and I'll never remember. I always remember looking up Chobits hentai because one of the particular doujins at the time that was like on this website involved the reset button, and it was basically about that they kept resetting her during intercourse. And that was the most because that's where her reset button was.
Yeah.
In case you've never seen Chobits.
Yeah, it's there to teach all the horny virgins how to turn on a woman.
Oh my god! I never realized that.
What? How did you not even think about that one?
I never realized that. Oh my god!
Of course, 3D would require a lot more than pressing a single button.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I fucking love Chobits, and I used to have so much Chobits merchandise. I still have some of it. I had to get rid of a lot of it recently. But Chobits was a thing that I kept some of them. Like I still have a legit wall scroll I got from Suncoast. Funny enough, the same place I stole. Well, actually, I didn't steal those DVDs. The same place me and my friends stole the DVDs. I bought a wall scroll from there legitimately. But Suncoast doesn't exist anymore. Sue me. Probably whoever owns it now is going to sue me tomorrow. But,
Well, yeah, because that industry died, including all the bookstores too.
yeah. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact the place I bought the manga, and I bought the manga, but the place I bought the manga was Borders.
And that's dead too.
Yeah, graveyard of all these of retail stores.
My friends actually cosplayed Chi and Freya, and they did some really fancy outfits.
I love that there's still like a fandom, so to speak, for it, because speaking of Ren, I mentioned that we did the anime bingo with Ren and Yaru before. Ren has cosplayed Chi, and I think Freya also. But she definitely did Chi, and I'm like, oh shit, people are still like the kids are still cosplaying, Chobits like that. That was like shit from my youth.
Yeah, I remember my first Anime Expo, so that would have been 2018. I found a player or two cosplayers. I guess it was a couple doing Chi and Hideki. It was really cool
Oh,
because
that's his name. I can remember his
yeah,
name.
uh,
Hideki.
yeah, and I was out there looking for all the Clamp cosplayers because I was posting it on the Clamp subreddit.
Speaking of Clamp, I'll move down to the next one. Magic Knight Rayearth.
Oh,
It's
the
another
same
anime.
friend also did Magic Knight Rayearth and won the AX contest. So
Oh shit! I fucking love Magic Knight Rayearth. Magic Knight Rayearth is like pretty much every anime. For the record, I didn't say this about Chobits. Pretty much every anime in this little 9 square thingy, every one I've considered my favorite anime at some point. And Magic Knight Rayearth has been my favorite one like twice. I watched. I remember. I remember I did buy this DVD. I remember buying the DVD at a warehouse, and I just like, oh, it looks kind of fantasy-ish. I'm gonna buy it, and like, I had no idea what the fuck it was about. Bought it, get home, and I look on the back. I guess I didn't notice it at the store, but on the DVD it said it was like ages 3 and up, and I'm like, oh, did I buy fucking baby anime? And I, for the record, I don't know why it was rated so low. Why did they just put like a regular rating there instead of like making it sound like it was a baby
I think
show?
it's just to make it sound like it's all ages friendly,
And it
basically.
is, for the
Even
record.
but I guess it's mostly, but there are some dark
Hey,
themes to it. So
Manu, could you give a description of the series too?
Oh,
For
oh. By the way, Chobits is about this guy who finds a robot and a
that's the
robot
robot.
girl, and yeah, in the trash. He literally finds her in the trash, takes her home. Well, actually, he doesn't find a robot. He finds in this world, computers are personal comms, just literally personal computers are just are like humanoid, and everyone has them, but he can't afford one because he's a cheap bastard. Well, he's actually just poor, and he finds one in the trash, takes it home, and he couldn't get it to turn on. He turns it on, obviously by there. But unlike every other personal comm in the world that can do shit, his is like a blank slate, and the whole that anime revolves around him getting her to like recall her, basically know who she is, and shit.
and debating
Also,
whether or not.
to fuck her. Also, I mean, there's a scene. Is it Chobits that has that scene where like they're in the rain and he runs after her, and that girl who likes him runs after him too, and it has it has that special ending where it's like a different ending than usual. I'm describing this really badly, but I just unlocked a core memory. By the way, I've not watched this anime since I was a kid, like teenager. I just fucking loved it.
Shit about Chobits at this point. It's been so
Oh
long
my
since
god, I love it. I just unlocked the core memory. Yeah,
Like
there's a
I
scene,
think
I
I know the
believe.
character you're talking about. I don't remember the scene.
He has a human he has a human love interest, like a girl who
Yeah.
likes him, and he likes her too, but like obviously there's a sort of a triangle going around there, and at some point like Chi runs off, and it's during a moment where the other girl's like confessing her love, and he obviously chooses to go run after Chi instead, and like he finds her and they're hugging in the rain or whatever, and the other girl just kind of like walks out and she's like crying, and then it has one of those, every anime kind of has one where like it's a different ending, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like as in literally a different animation and a different song. Anyway, but Magic Knight Rayearth Magical Girl Show, 3 girls get isekai'd back to the past, but without dying. Back when you got isekai'd and it wasn't because of a truck hit you. Um, and they
Wait.
go to
So
Magic.
speaking of that, my friend actually their
You got hit
skit
by a
for
truck.
Magic Knight Rare mentioned the fact it's isekai before isekai.
It is, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because it's like it's a trope now that you get hit by a truck, and I'm like, remember when it wasn't always like that?
I mean, there was just a bright light when you and two other schools, or girls from two other schools, happened to be at Tokyo Tower.
Yeah, they're at Tokyo Tower. They get sent back to like this mystical land where they have to save it, and in order to save it, they have to like pilot these they're not technically giant robots, but they're giant robots.
They're called rune
Think,
gods or
but they're
machine in
robots.
Japanese.
Yeah, they're technically giant robots, but they're they're human. They're made of stuff. They're not like machines.
And everything's named
Imagine.
after a car.
Oh, you're right. And there's a lot more to the story that Murphy just said, sorry, earlier, that like shit happens and like, you know, it gets kind of dark. I remember that one character dies very early on, the one who likes making their weapons.
Yeah.
And I remember that was a pretty like. I remember I was like, oh shit, people die in this, and it was a good show. My point to telling you the ages 3 and up thing was that I didn't watch it for a while. I bought it around the same time as like Chobits era, like the early 2000s, but I didn't watch it until like 2005 or 6. I was already like a little bit of adult. I do remember that after I watched the anime, I remember that there was a very not infamous, but very famous Sega Saturn video game based on it.
Mhm.
And when I went to Kraken Con, like in 2015 or 14 in Oakland, California, I bought that game from a seller there who like it was somebody's booth, but she's like, I'm just trying to sell my copy of Magic Knight Rare for the Sega Saturn for like $250 to make money for like school or whatever. And I bought it, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of that game. I think it's the only game, like expensive game, that I've ever bought while it was expensive. If that's a way to phrase that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not much of a collector. If I have expensive games, because I just bought them when they came out. But what I do love about Ray Earth is that it's very JRPG-ish, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Um,
As someone who's seen it,
It's
yes.
a fantasy anime. It's gonna feel JRPG automatically.
but there's 2 other fantasy animes in my little thing here, and Ray Earth is the one that feels like it is a video game. Like it feels like a video game adaptation.
Record of Lotus War feels pretty video game too.
We'll come back to Ray Earth. I'm gonna jump to Lotus War.
Okay, but Manuel, before, just in case we don't get back to it,
Oh,
who is your favorite of the 3 main girls?
oh fuck! Is her name you? The blue one?
Me.
Umi, fool.
Oh, then which one's you?
Foo.
Oh! But no, Umi's the one I like the most anyway.
Okay, good. You have taste.
Sorry, I got the names. And what's funny is I've seen this one 3 times in my life, by the way. And I did watch it the most recent time right before the pandemic, like around 2019. Obviously not that well, I guess. Oops.
Manuel, are you including a Magic Knight Ray Earth 2 in this?
I don't like to. For the record, 2 has an amazing ending theme because Minoko Honda did the ending theme. One of my favorite idols from the 80s and my favorite music artist period did the ending theme. One of the best ending themes ever. The show itself is terrible. It feels like a 12 episode show that the second one. Yeah, because like they pretty much don't move. Like it's basically about these nations like coming like or like fighting. It moves really slow and not like. It just felt like they were padding for time slow. And also, if you ever read the manga, the first season is an okay adaptation of the manga. Obviously, it pads it out too. But the second one changes everything.
Yeah.
It is not an adaptation. And it's a very short manga, so it's a really easy read. And I was like, what the fuck? This is not like the anime at all. It's $800. Oh my god, Magic Knight Rare. Yeah, I'm not selling that one though. Like whoever finds me dead first can take it.
Yes. Wait.
It's gonna kill me. Oh no! I promise JD. I promise JD that like, because I owe him money. I'm like, bro, like, I don't know when I'll pay you back, but like, I'm gonna put it in my will that when I die, you have like, how many minutes? You have like a couple minutes to take what you want.
I think I have the, however long the bonus round was it Finders Keepers?
Yeah.
Just raid your house.
Yeah, just take what you want. There you go. I don't owe you anymore. You can just make sure to grab Ray Earth on the way out.
Yeah.
I played the SNES Ray Earth.
Oh yeah,
they translated it.
It was well say yeah. There's a translated SNES RPG as well. I think it's the same game. It's just the Sega Saturn one. I think just adds it's like a sort of an updated port, if I'm not mistaken.
Because one is a lot better. The SNES one is very simplistic.
Exactly, but I did play that one too. That was back in the day when I was really into translated RPGs. But Lodoss War. Now Lodoss War, it starts where like well, first of all, you have like the standard not GRPG. You have the standard D&D party.
Yes, you do.
And they're kind of doing their nonsense, adventuring as it were. In the backdrop, there's these 2 kingdoms going to war. And correct me if I'm wrong, because this plot gets a little complicated. But the thief guy in the party awakens the dark god, right? God, it's a goddess though, is right? Doesn't he awaken someone? The thief.
Manuel, it's been so long.
Okay. I can't even remember why I watched this. It was
the details are getting a little murky, but it doesn't matter. There's a Dark Lord, because there's always a Dark Lord. And there's also an evil queen, but that's another story. But the Dark Lord who the thief of the party, who I think is that big one in the picture, actually the gray one right there. He like while they're going on their adventuring, he accidentally gets this sword or this thing. He like grabs it and he gets possessed by it. And the show kind of has like two distinct halves because the backdrop of these two kingdoms going to war actually happens like halfway through the show, and they pretty much just kill each other. Like the two kings die for sure, and then it's like, oh, we got to save the world, and obviously, what the fuck's his name? Parm?
Harn.
I think
Parn. Yeah, he's there to go. He's like kind of a reluctant hero. He's more there to save Deedlit, who's the elf girl.
Elf druid.
And I'll never forget this. And I've mentioned this in the past before, but this has stuck with me so much. In all the anime I've ever watched. First of all, I didn't know that it was an OVA at the time. So I just thought it was a really well animated show. And then when I eventually watched the TV show, I'm like, oh, the TV show sucks. Which is like Chronicles of the Heroic Knight or something. The same story, just not as good. But at the end of the anime, when he rescues Deedlit, the camera's like panning across like him, like with this destroyed temple they just came out of, or whatever the fuck's happening, and he's carrying Deedlit in his arms, and there's a titty exposed.
Gasp.
And the needlessness of that nudity just stuck with me. I don't know why it's lived rent free in my head for like almost 20 years now. Like I can't fucking remember that thief's name. I almost struggled to remember Parn's name. Yeah, Woodchuck. But like fucking Deedlit's titty, it's like burned in my memory. And not just because it's a titty per se. It's just the weird need. I've talked about this before. There was a Devil Hunter Yoko in the very first OVA episode. There's a scene where she's on the phone and she like flops down onto her bed, and like her titty pops out. Devil Hunter Yoko's titty, and like I'm like, was that necessary? But it's there. Anyway, that's why I fucking loved it.
Back in those ages, they just always put in needless fan service because they could get away with OVAs.
Those titties in Ninja Scroll live rent free in my. There were titties in Ninja Scroll.
Yes, there were titties in a lot of things back then.
Speaking of titties, Ikitosen. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna cover this one really fast because this is an anime I feel like I've outgrown, but I still love it. Ikitosen is your typical high school beat 'em up rumbly type thing, but each character in the show is based off of somebody from Romance to the Three Kingdoms.
Oh, of course, that's why you like this manual. It could have been anything as long as they mix in Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
And this was around the time when Romance of the Three Kingdoms was like, I was becoming obsessed with it. So I fucking loved it. And the bigger part of honestly, the anime is cool. It's full of fucking titties. It's funny because the manga had a crap ton of nudity and sex, and the anime kind of toned it down. I guess that's what anime does. But more importantly, I was doing movies around this time, like right out of high school age, or attempting to. And actually, I was doing movies, and we were working on the script of like these like, think of kind of like the Warriors, like a bunch of gangs fighting. And I'm like, after watching Ikitosen, I'm like, what if do West Side Story, but instead of adapting Romeo and Juliet, we adapt Romance of the Three Kingdoms, like a very truncated version, obviously, but like we adapt that. And I wrote a script basically ripping off both Ikitosen and Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and that's my Ikitosen story. There's a lot of titties in it. It's also known as Battle Vixens. I think because back then people had different rights to different things. So I think Battle Vixens was one of its official English titles. It's not very good, just except for the fact that it's based on Three Kingdoms. Another really fast one, because I also feel
I have not watched that.
Yeah, it's not that good. Honestly, it's very forgettable. Like I don't think anyone ever talks about it, and it did get a new show not recently, but like in the 2010s. They got like another like follow-up series, and nobody talked about it even then. Oops. And I don't think that the Battle Vixens manga ever finished in the US because Tokyo Pop had it. and that was a curse on a lot of manga. But Comic Party, have anyone ever watched Comic Party but me? Okay,
I
no one's
may
watched Comic Party.
very vaguely heard of it before, but so what is this about?
It's about this dude who's like obsessed with obsessed with Dojin, like this fanboy. He's obsessed with Dojin, and he has a best friend who has a crush on this girl, and he wants to create a manga circle or a Dojin circle, as it were, but a manga circle. So he talks to his best friend, who's like an artist person, and like basically forces him into like starting like forming a manga circle with him. And obviously they incorporate all their friends, including the girl he likes and so on. But the story of the two main characters, like the obsessed guy who was always prone to having all these big speeches, and the kind of like more humble guy who's kind of really doing most of the work, reminded me a lot of me and my then best friend who I was doing a lot of movies with once again when I was out of high school. And I used to, as soon as I watched it, I'll never forget it. I watched it and I showed it to him. I'm like, you got to come over and watch this right now. And he came over and watched it. I'm like, oh my god, this is our life, isn't it? This is our. And by the way, in case you're wondering which one of those two I am the guy who's talking, making all the speeches, convincing other people to do the more work for more work.
I would have never guessed that, Manuel. Never in a million years.
So yeah,
you know what? I feel like it kind of sounds like what Saikano is now.
No, yeah, okay. The funny thing is, I found this out a long time later because there's a second season of the Comic Party that's way different, and then I found out that Comic Party is based on a hentai game.
I mean, a lot of stuff based on it.
I didn't know that, and it does. And the second season definitely feels like it, but the first one doesn't. The first one, they just took the characters, took part of the hentai game's premise because obviously you have several routes. That was just one of them that you want to do a manga thing with this one girl. Well, I think they make her a cosplayer, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, the first season of the anime still it still has a soft place in my heart, but it's like it's one of those things where it's more like, is the anime good or did I just like it because I felt like people like it was plagiarizing my life at the time? I don't know.
What? Were you making dojins and going to Comic K? What's how going on?
No, we were making like low budget movies, and we drove all the way to New York to show it to some people at Troma. And yes, we were kind of like living a sim. I worked for Troma for a while, but that's a story for another day. Literally me for real, Manuel. It is me. Anyways, yeah. Honestly, if you want to get to know like 18 to like 20-year-old Manuel, watch Comic Party, and then look at that guy, and that's fucking me, just convincing all my friends to like do all this crazy shit with me.
Yeah, but Manuel, look at it this way: you at least got one good invention out of that when you made fire.
Right now.
Exactly. That's my life. It's just it's just how I live my life. I just don't know if the anime is any good anymore. Love Hina is just a fucking typical harem anime. This dude inherits this it's an apartment building. I don't know, but people live there. I don't think it's an apartment building. He inherits this like boarding house of some sort, and he inherits all the tenants. And the tenants are obviously like this variable mix of people. Like there's like the girl who's very into like traditional Japanese things. There's the girl who's the foreigner. Actually, is there two foreigners? But there's one foreigner. There's the girl who's a foreigner, and then there's the girl who's like from like the what's that? Like the other like the Osaka. She speaks the dialect or something
Kansai.
like that. Kansai. Yeah, she comes from the Kansai region. She speaks the dialect. Because everyone because it was one of those animes that thing when they translate that as a southern accent in the dub, which is not really the comparison.
The southern accent thing does not work as a translation for Kansai, man.
But yeah, I liked it. It was pretty bad. It was pretty terrible.
I watched this in college, and I thought it was kind of okay back then. But then every time I think back on it, I think it was pretty fucking bad, and it just feels like it's the more I think about, the worse I think it is.
But I fucking loved it, and I watched it. I watched more than once. I saw the movies. I remember one of the movies played in a local. I think two of the movies actually was like a back-to-back thing, played in a local theater because I've lived in the area where like thank God like the anime movies in theaters was always kind of a thing, and I saw one of them there, and It's a good show. I also read all the manga. I had tons of figures. It was the first time I ever used to buy blind box figures because like there was some like you would build a set out of like 6 figures or whatever, but I had a bunch of doubles and I did shit like that. I loved it, and it's still the soft spot in my heart. It's the only harem anime to this day that I'll admit that I still would probably watch again. Even though I used to watch a ton of those, not realizing they were like harem anime. They're all trash though. But if you watch any of them, watch Love Hina.
No,
Um,
no, I agree with that one. I think you'd be better off watching like High School DxD or Data Live or something else.
yeah, honestly, I'm sure there's much better modern examples. It's still a cute show from its time. I don't know. I think the manga's a lot better also, but that's true of all these things, I think. I,
I feel like some of the characters are also really stupid.
oh my god, most of the
Eh,
characters. It
Yeah,
does that. It does.
especially the main girl is really annoying.
Oh, she does that typical main girl trope where like she's always just beating up the protagonist.
Exactly, it's a really stupid Soon Soon.
Yeah. Oh my god. I don't know. It has its moments. I liked it a lot better than Negima, which is the other show that Ken
Well,
Akamatsu.
done by the same author.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I heard the problem is that the Negima mangas actually I read some of it back when I was still willing to go through reading stupid harem things. But the manga is far better than that's for sure.
it was far more long running. But I don't know. I like Left Hand a lot better. It's funny because Negima came after, and a lot of people liked Negima at the time, but I feel like no one really liked Love Hina, even though they were clearly pushing it if you were around that time. Because like I said, I was able to buy all this merchandise like in the U.S., like not imported.
My
Like
friend was a huge Love Hina fan.
yeah,
Their
because
their
it
name
was
was
just
kind of
shoved down your throat.
their name was kind of we called him Tama. After the turtle in Love Hina.
The turtle. I forgot that was the
Yeah,
turtle. Oh,
you literally would call him Tama all the time. He was the turtle in Love Hina.
my favorite character from the show, by the way, I forgot. I unlocked a memory. Is I think her name is her was her name Shinobu? I don't remember her name, but there's a silent girl, like the one who's always fainting, like the one who like is very like anemic,
Yeah,
basically.
Shinobu's it. Yeah, you're probably talking
I
about
fucking
Shinobu.
love her. That's the
Well,
best girl of that show.
she was very liked because I think she had that, like, shy, quiet girl.
Yeah,
Japanese people love.
she was my favorite. My favorite. Speaking of favorite girls, I fucking love Fruits Basket. It was the it,
Wait,
it
so
was the
are you counting this as the original Fruits Basket or the new one?
Yes, I was already
the new one
talking to him
sucks.
before this, and I
The
have
new
no
one's
idea
Far
how he
more
could
like
have
the
such a
manga.
bad take.
Okay, the first one is. I mean, the new one is more like the manga because there's more time to work with. They don't rush the ending like the old one does.
And
From
they get
what
through
I've
the full
seen,
series.
but the original one is still a million times better. A
Wait.
million times
You need to explain this. I haven't actually watched the new one because I read the manga and I watched the original and I was like, I don't need to watch another one. I don't need to suffer.
better. Well, the original has a. I don't want to spoil it, but like, it moves things around to give it a false ending because it cuts off.
I don't think the ending of the original was good. That was probably the worst part of the original was the ending.
Yeah, the ending was is terrible. I didn't like it. I hated it. It was just watch it to episode 20 and then just stop. And then just pretend that was your um I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of it's probably nostalgia. I loved it. There was a long period of my life, but out of all these that I say are my favorite, Love Hina, Fruits Basket was my favorite anime for like a decade of my life, most of my life. Like I was like, what's my favorite anime? Fruits Basket. I might still say that today if you ask me on a certain day. I'm like, it's Fruits Basket. Of course, it's Fruits Basket. The original. Fuck the new one.
Now you have to
I
make that stipulation from now on for the rest of your life.
I never had to do that before. That's fucking annoying. But I remember one of the first times I met Garway, a friend of ours who I'm doing a Magical Girls panel with at Fanime in a couple weeks. Um, I remember I hadn't thought about Fruits Basket in a while, and we were and like we were at a con drinking as con people do, And at some point, she was like just talking about anime, and she's like, "Yeah, Fruits Basket." She's like, "Hi, I'm Toru Honda. My mom's dead." And I just was like, for some reason, that just made me fucking die, and I forgot all about that because the anime basically does start that way. Like she's living in a tent with
Well,
a picture of her mom.
makes her sound like she's the most like suffering girl in the universe.
Well, I
So
mean, my like one sentence description of Fruits Basket is about 20 characters competing to see who can have the most tragic backstory.
You know, and then okay. Also, remember that movie I was telling you about? That movie we wrote about the gangs that was like trying to be like Three Kingdoms. There's a character in this one, and I'm not gonna lie. If you ever look at that script I rewrote, I'm sure it's it, it's aged terribly because I didn't know I didn't know anything about like Yankee type shit or anything about the culture or whatever, Japanese in general, Japan in general, I meant to say. But one of the gangs we modeled after that one girl. I can't remember her fucking name. The girl who's like the Yankee type character, and like at one point she has a memory, a flashback why she's Toro's friend because like Toro's mom used to be like a gang member back in the
Yeah,
day,
the Crimson
and
Butterfly.
yeah, and I think our character, a total ripoff, was like the purple butterfly or some shit like that. I don't remember the exact name, but it was not the crimson one because that's the one from the Fruits Basket. I told that story before
I
too.
believe it's Arisa Uotani.
But yeah, we ripped that off totally. But I fucking the whole thing's good. Yeah, basically JD described the plot very well, except that the people competing for her, the guys at least, all represent the zodiac animals.
And the cat.
except for the
And
one
the
that
cat.
is in the zodiac.
And speaking of which, the cat and the rat, fuck Yuki and what the fuck's the cat's name?
Oh, yo.
Shit.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
they're feuding because of like bullshit that happened at that banquet where like God invites all the animals and the rat rides on the head of the fucking who is
Ox.
it? Yeah, the ox jumps in first. That's where the rat's first. But prior to all this, the rat lied to the cat and told him the banquet's like the next day or some shit like that. So the cat never got to go. So there's this whole thing about that. Also, the dude who's the dragon is a fucking seahorse.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that about?
In Japanese like mythology, seahorses are like baby dragons, or I think like the literal like kanji for it is something like bastard dragon or something like that.
And I used to have a girlfriend around the time like ex from a long time ago, and she used to be obsessed with fucking Fruits Basket. Like she used to love Momiji, who was the bunny
Mm-hmm.
boy. See all the like I remember that fucker's name because she fucking said it all the damn
We all know
time.
Kagura's the best of them, so.
Is she the horse?
No, she's the boar.
She's the boar? Yeah, she's the boar.
Oh, I remember there's a girl who runs and she's the horse, right? I remember
yeah,
her
but
name.
she's not in the.
Oh, she's not in the anime.
She's not in the original or the original anime.
She's in the manga only. All I remember because like when she would like transfer back and forth, like she'd be like dead tired or naked. But
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. That's only in the manga. I still refuse to keep watching the new anime. Fuck the new anime. Anyway, yeah, Fruits Basket. That's my favorite. Wrapping up the last two Slayers. I fucking love Slayers. I have particularly there the Slayers motion picture that has Naga instead of Gallery, because that was I think the first anime I ever watched. Like, period. The motion picture. I think it definitely is a contender for it because a friend of mine had like birthday money and we went to Suncoast. Did not steal. This is years before that. We went to Suncoast and he bought a bunch of VHS anime because that's how long ago that was. And one of the VHSs was the Slayers motion picture, and watched it, loved it. I used to love the novels, the light novelizations that were translated in English because they wrote them very like cheeky and referential. It's basically about this girl who has like small breasts, and yes, that's important because they fucking get to mention every other fucking minute. And she knows magic, and she has in the show, in the manga, she has a kind of a similar D&D type party situation, sorta, a lot smaller. She has a swordsman named Gowry travels with her, another magic user named Amelia, and this golem named the fuck's the golem's name? I don't remember the Golem's name, but he was voiced by Crispin Freeman. And in the dub, I only know that because I met him at a Long Beach Comic Con, like one of the first ones, like long before cons were big. And I was like, "Hey, you're the fucking voice of the fucking Golem from that show, Zelgadis." I remembered his name. Anyway, and I also remember that in the first one, they had to fight this big bad that awakens because Lena Inverse, the main character, she casts a spell that like you're not supposed to cast, like one of those dark spells, and she awoken the Dark Lord Shabardingo. And it was a running joke that nobody could say his name right. It's like Shabba Dabba Ding Dong and, like shit like that. And Dirty Pair Flash is a show only I fucking know. I swear to God. Played it on Showtime Beyond. I watched the shit out of it. Fucking love it. It is definitely my favorite anime of all time. It's the only anime I've watched consistently. I can quote entire episodes. I've seen that show over a dozen times each episode, basically. I watched it recently, just in passing in the background. I love the dub. I fucking hate that the dub is no longer like legal to like distribute, I guess. I don't know if that thing ever passed. Remember that thing, JD? They're supposed to like release a new release with the dub, but they didn't. And
I think it was the original series, not Flash.
Oh, but because they redubbed it. They redubbed it for like Nozomi? I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't think they're even around anymore. There was somebody who redubbed it like in 2016, 2018, and that's the English dub, and it's not the original. I fucking hate the new dub. It's terrible. It's the dub you get if you. I don't know if it's still available, but it used to be on High Dive, or it definitely was on Verve. But anyway, it's two girls and 3WA. They're setting up. They're like kind of like secret police to go do shit, but the whole shtick is that they're called Dirty Pair because whenever they get sent on a mission, they cause more damage than they would have saved by saving the world.
I want to take one hot take on Slayers. I thought the anime was kind of boring. I think the best thing from Slayers was the music.
Okay, the Slayers soundtrack slaps.
Megumi Hashibar is a god.
Yes, there's some amazing music in Slayers. The first opening, the first ending, like Breeze, I think, is one of the songs I fucking love from like 13th Try or whatever like the third season was called. And I think that one has 5 seasons. I have not seen 4 or 5. I like the anime though. I will admit it's not as like funny as some of the other funny shows are, if that makes sense. Okay, it's not as funny as the other comedic anime are, because I think like if you watch like Louis the Rune Soldier, which feels like Slayers but more funny, but also cheaper. But yeah, I still love Slayers. Like I said, I do love.
Wait, isn't Rune Soldier Louis also in the same world as Lodoss War?
It is. Also, speaking of, I didn't mention this when I mentioned Lodoss War. Lodoss War, I think, was based on some campaign that like some writers had.
Yeah, I think it was a D&D campaign.
Yeah, and Slayers, I believe, was as well. But Slayers, more importantly, became its own RPG system.
I mean, so did Lodoss War.
Oh, did it? I didn't know that. But Slayers for sure, because Slayers, there's been I know this because I try to follow it for a while. Nobody has translated as far as I know, but for years there was like a whole fandom trying to translate the source books, fan translations, of course. But yeah. As far as I know, that's never come to fruition. Same for Lodoss War for sure, I'm sure. But rip. And that's it. Real fun story. There used to be a video on some like, because it used to be on YouTube. I'm not sure where it was from. It was like the creator of Slayers who obviously made it into like the game system. He was there is a US RPG system, doesn't exist anymore. I think there's a new version called Bessem, Big Eyes Small Mouth. And they did a Slayers RPG that's terrible, but it exists. So this dude in Japan, like the original creator, tried to play it, or at least he talked about it. Like on this, I remember because it showed him playing about. It wasn't really about him playing it. It was just him saying like, "What did they do to Slayers? Like they ruined my baby." And yeah, I like Slayers. I do like Naga. That's the chick with the big titties from the movies. She has that stereotypical I can't do the laugh.
The Ojo laugh.
Yeah. Okay, that's a terrible version. But yeah. Anyways, That's my list. Let's move on. Let's move on to Merli's. Watch all those. Get to know me. The only one I think is actually long is fucking Slayers, and you could just watch the first season.
All right, Merle, yours is up.
Yeah, look, I kind of spoiled it. Just, those are all short shows. There you go. Thank you. You're welcome. Sorry.
I think most of my shows are not too long. I think that, yeah, most of them are either 1 or 2 seasons actually.
Yeah, the only one that was crazy on my list was Slayers, and Slayers is a confusing continuity. It doesn't matter. Ignore it. Anyways, say all yours. I don't recognize most of these, so let's get into it.
Oh, and you were criticizing me for missing 3 of them.
I'm stupid.
Okay, let's see. I guess we'll go start with the center. This is Karikano, and otherwise known as His and Her Circumstances, an English name. It's one of the shows that was it's a show I think that was done after Evangelion by Hideki Anno.
It was sometime around then.
The time frame. Yeah, I believe it's after like right after Evangelion. But it was a surprise because he was doing a shoujo, romance show. But it's also a very heavy comedy. So the thing that made this show great is basically about the main 2 characters in the center. There, you see, there's two people there. Shoichiro's the male, and then Yukino's the female, and they're like the top students at this school. And Yukino is basically, you could think of her as the Umaru of the past because she acts like she's the perfect student in school, and then she becomes a completely lazy bum at home. It's exactly what Umaru basically does. And Suichiro is the other. So he's the student who ends up beating her and a lot of stuff because he's super good as well. So she gets pretty pissed off at him because he's beating her in all the competitions in school. But he also has a dark past because he had issues with his family and traumatic things that happened. So they end up having a big romance together. A lot of comedy hijinks happen between each other because in the beginning they're fighting all the time over like school rank and stuff like that. And it's actually a really great show. The only problem is I think they ran out of time and budget. So if you watch the last few episodes of the show, it's a complete crazy mess, and there's like no animation stuff like that.
It's just like Evangelion.
It's kind of like what happened in Evangelion, which is really hilarious because all of Hideki Anno shows back then just turned into messes at the end.
Yeah, I think that was also just because there was a big conflict between like the original mangaka and Hideki Anno about like the direction of the series, which got him replaced for like the end of it, and that's why it's so rushed.
It's funny because,
but the beginning, the first half of the show is really, really good. It's like some of the best comedy I've ever seen as well, and it's great drama. And the music is like same composer as Evangelion. The music in that show it's like some of the best mood music you'll ever hear in your life.
There's an anime, I don't know what the fuck it's called. It was around the same time where it was about like a brother and sister like who fell in love with each other, and I used to think it was this show for the longest time.
Koikaze?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, I was like, are you talking Koikaze? What the fuck?
I used to get these 2 shows confused, and I know you might be like, what the fuck? They're not the... Yeah, that's how stupid I am. But I used to get them confused all the time. I think this is like the K's and like my stupidity at the time, or just in general. But mind you, I know that now. It's not like I just learned this right now, but for years, and even still kind of now, I have to stop and think and remember because I'm like, wait, no, not the brother one. Anyway, go on.
So speaking of Hideki Anno shows, we might as well go to that one as well. Obviously, we're talking about Evangelion here. I mean, that was one of the first big anime I watched. I'd say the 3 of the biggest anime I watched when I first started was Evangelion, Escaflowne, and Rurouni Kenshin. So I'd actually say Escaflowne was also a really good kind of RPG-ish show from back to the same era as like Lord Elsewhere
and Isekai
Slayers and stuff like that.
Oh, it is Isekai also. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's also Isekai. Yes, it's Isekai
girl.
and it's kind of RPG or fantasy. Isekai and fantasy. So it's kind of a good mix of both of those. But anyways, Evangelion, I think it's just I feel like it spoke to like the dark side of your inner turmoil within yourself, right? You could relate to all the darkness happening in the characters. I think was the biggest thing. And it was obviously you're dragged into this crazy world, Tokyo, like destroyed Tokyo with crazy angels and stuff like that. But I think the main thing is I could relate a lot to Shinji and a lot of the other characters.
Hmm.
And the music was amazing as well.
Yeah.
And
What happened?
Oh no,
Well,
I was just agreeing with great music.
It's funny in Evangelion. I fucking love Evangelion, but my first memory of it was there's this comic store I used to go to. It still exists actually. It's called the Comic Cult in Torrance, California. Love that store. Anyway, I went to the store one time and it's been there since I was a child, and they used to have a video store there too. At the time, it's like in the early 2000s, late 90s, and they used to rent anime a lot. And I remember they were playing Evangelion there, and everyone was watching it. And I remember watching it, and then like I've told the story before too, I think. And then shit gets like there was a fight and shit gets bloody, and I was like, what the fuck? I had never really seen like violent anime to that point, and it's funny because Evangelion is not that violent, but it still blew my mind.
there are some pretty freaky. I think the visuals are pretty freaky. It's not necessarily all pure violence, but just the look of the angels.
Exactly.
And of course,
biblically accurate angels.
Of the Avas themselves are very freaky. I don't think that's something that you should feel comfortable looking at and how they act.
Yeah, it's giant robots, but kind of like the anti-giant robot show, because it's not like, oh, these are cool. I kind of want, like, I still can get toys of them, but it's not that kind of thing. It's kind of like, oh, these are cool. I want a toy and pilot it myself. It's more like,
I mean, but kids did want the toys. If merchandise was a huge seller.
That's true.
Are you done talking about Evangelion? Because I have one question.
Oh, what's your
question?
Oscar or Ray?
I knew it.
You have terrible taste. I'm sorry.
I actually have an Oscar costume, so hopefully I'll wear that at some point.
I prefer Oscar too.
You also have terrible taste, but everybody already knew that.
Also, I remember when I watched the movie, and I think I watched it at I definitely watched it in a group setting. It's too long ago to remember if I saw it in a theater, or if I just saw it at a friend's house with a bunch of people.
And by movie you mean End of Evangelion, right?
The masturbation.
Yes,
thing.
that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that's relatable too, right?
Yeah, I just remember seeing that and I was like, what the fuck?
For sure, that was also Shinji's reaction.
That's the part that makes it relatable. Also, actually, so there's the other interesting question. How did you guys feel about the movies, the new ones?
Oh. They're different. I don't hate them.
I didn't care for 3 so much when first watching it. I think it probably had to happen to get to the highs of 4, but I think 3 is my least favorite of them.
I wish they'd come out closer together. I know there were some production issues. I think with the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so far apart.
With all of them, pretty sure they all took forever. But I saved them all until they all came out because I knew that there was gonna be problems because it's Hideki Anno. That's gonna happen. So I waited 10 years.
Ago. Exactly, because I watched the first 2 when I was still with my fiance ex, way back. I think I watched one of them at Anime Expo, and then I watched the last one, the one that came out during the pandemic, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or at least I watched it during the pandemic. But yeah, I was like, what the fuck? like this is a lifetime ago. This started.
Yeah, you should have waited. That's definitely a solution. It's not worth suffering for that many years. But I do feel like I prefer the original still. But I like the fact they did it. I feel like these movies were like the mental health healed version of Hideki Anno because he was very broken back then, and he didn't feel nearly as broken when he's making these movies.
Mm-hmm.
He felt a lot happier.
They're good. They're just different. I don't hate them. I know when the last one came out, Amber Warren was on a podcast and he was talking all the shit about it, and I'm like, it was. I hadn't seen it at that time. I'm like, it's not the same.
Yeah,
but it's not
different.
bad.
I don't think I like it as much because it's not as relatable. But I think it's his vision of what he wants now.
Exactly. But anyways, besides Evangelion, let's move on.
Let's see. Okay. So I guess we'll go with something else that's on the darker side. I actually meant to put just normal Madoka and not Magica Record, but I think
Okay.
that's okay. It's the wrong picture for that.
I
But
was gonna say like okay, you weren't here before we went live, but I was like, I just watched Monica recently, and I'm like, I do not like Magia Record, and I was like, why would you pick that
no,
over
I didn't,
Monica?
I didn't really mean to pick that. I just picked whatever looked interesting as a picture before
Oh,
I was like paying
oops.
attention. I was like, wait, that's the wrong one.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Madoka. So I feel like Madoka, like that's definitely one of the zeitgeist animes because I think so many people got into that and know about it, and it definitely kind of changed. At least the magical girl genre, you can
Mhm.
notice there's definitely some changes, and there were a lot of copycats afterward.
Oh my God, yes.
People like Magical Girl Sight and all these other things that came out afterward. But I think it it just came together as a show that Urobuchi obviously did the writing for it, and he just put together something that everybody was kept guessing every week when we were watching it because you had no idea what was going to happen if you're watching right along when the show is coming out. It was just like such a discussion starter every week. And there's not many shows you can say. I think another one that was kind of like that was Code Geass, but that
Mm.
one definitely was a little bit more of a crazy train wreck.
I had the pleasure of just rewatching Madoka. Like I just finished the last episode yesterday actually, so I was like, oh, I watched it over the course of last week. I seen it before. That was my first time watching it, but I was like, man, this show is crazy. And I forgot how long ago it came out because I had to Google that. It came out like in 2010 or something. About
Yeah.
like it feels a lot more recent because like I said, like it definitely. I'm not to plug it too much, but we're doing that Magical Girl panel, and I decided to put the cutoff from at Madoka, even though it's a long time ago. That's the biggest reason why I looked at the date, because after Madoka, things like really change, like in terms of Magical Girl anime. You either get like retro throwbacks, Madoka ripoffs, or like
Or Precure, which always
yeah,
does.
exactly, or Precure, like things that just exist to sell merchandise. But yeah,
But yeah,
it's been
Madoka's like I cosplayed Mommy because who doesn't want to cosplay the character who has fun things happen at the end of episode 3?
okay. I know this is a spoiler, but it doesn't spoil the show. It tripped me up watching it again recently because I forgot about this scene. Because I don't want to spoil the plot, but let's just say that you see mommy die twice. I'll just put it like that. I won't say the house and the whys, but in the second time you see her die, it is so much. Well, actually, see her die more than twice, but one of the times you see her die, it's so much more darker because she kind of loses it. And she kills one of the other girls and is about to kill another one of the girl, and then Monica has to kill her
Well,
because
I
she
mean,
was like, that was she's like, do you mean? And she's all shaking and her eyes are all wide. I'm like, whoa, I forgot about this. Like, is there any universe where like she doesn't, without spoiling, doesn't like meet a bad end?
I mean, technically yes, but that would be
that was
major
the point
spoilers.
was
Wait.
that the whole point was that I mean you're being forced to relive their lives over and over to try to get to a happy ending, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess I kind of spoiled it a little. It's a little Groundhog Day, but
Not yet.
honestly, watch it. It's still really, really good. Even if you know that going in, it'll still take you. Like fucking that thing. I'd already seen the whole show. I remembered that scene, but I forgot that it was so crazy with mommy. It's like poor mommy. That's TLDR, poor
Well,
mommy. That's.
I mean, you just gotta stay ahead of the game.
I like that she fought with like muskets, a bunch of them.
That's
I have two. I have actually two official muskets from the forecast that came out as merchandise, and they were really stupidly expensive, but
There's
bought them anyways.
the um when 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 pirates board a ship, they have a bunch of usually there'd be one person who was designated to like clear the way, and the dude would jump onto the ship and have a bunch of preloaded guns, like handguns, I guess. And um and in like Revolutionary War, whatever times like that, when people still use like muskets, one shot muskets. If you had a sharpshooter, they would usually have more than one gun assigned to them, and I just fucking love that that was somehow in an anime. That when she had to shoot more than once, she would just shoot, throw it away, shoot, throw it away, shoot, throw it away. I don't know, and that's
I
not a
mean,
spoiler.
it's the nice access of magical girls, right? You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I already posture checked Nestor. I cracked my neck. I don't think anyone heard that. I wasn't close enough to the mic, but yeah, I felt great. Merly like got all the way backwards when I guess you posture checked. But anyway,
Yeah,
go
I did
ahead.
my posture check.
Anyways, everyone go watch Madoka. That's the best one.
Mark is definitely great. Let's see another. Okay, so I guess another show that has kind of magical girls. Is Kitty Grade.
Hmm.
So
I've got
Kitty
to
Grade
admit,
is
I
an
had
interesting
not thought
show.
about that series in like a good decade before I
Yeah,
saw it on here.
Yeah, nobody really talks about that show anymore. It's so old at this point. But I actually found the interesting thing about that show. It's about some girls who have special powers. They're fighting a bunch of bad guys and stuff like that. And um that show, the first 8 episodes were actually kind of bad, and then the rest was actually really good. That was like that's really rare to convince someone to watch 8 episodes that weren't good and then go on. I don't even know why I watched that many, but luckily I did because I'm really glad because the show ended up turning out really good afterward. And I feel like that's pretty rare to find anime like that.
It's funny you say that because I'm 99% sure. I know I watched some of it. I'm 99% sure that I bought a complete series of that like on DVD, and I watched the first disc, was not hooked, and just moved on
Yeah,
to
you
another
wouldn't be
show.
hooked.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I feel like a lot of people probably felt about that show. I
exactly.
feel like that's kind of like, the other show that I feel like that's kind of like was Cross Orange, if you know anything about that show, because it
Oh,
started out with the really fucked up scene in the beginning, the rape scene in the beginning.
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people were turned off, but I thought the show actually
exactly.
turned out pretty good, pretty decent by the end.
Um, but yeah, Kitty Grade. What else about Kitty Grade?
I think actually the music is actually really good. The designs are gorgeous,
Oh
actually,
yeah,
because the character designer for that was amazing. So, one thing, if you want to see some great looking characters, that's definitely a show to look at for that. And as I said, the plot actually turns out really fun and really interesting and once you get past the first 8 episodes, they're a really amazing plot to watch.
yeah. After I finish watching like 3 more Magical Girl shows, maybe I'll watch that. Give it another shot. It's funny because like I know for a fact I've owned like an art book and I think a scroll for it. So like because back when I was like mildly a hoarder, I would just buy a bunch of shit. Um and like I know I had Kitty Grade stuff, and even though I didn't like the show and didn't really watch it. So it'd be interesting to actually see what it's about.
It's really fun.
Well,
I think you'll enjoy it. It has some really good action too.
okay. And what else?
Let's go to actually this is actually my favorite kind of Yuri show that I've ever watched. It's called Simone. It's the
Is
one
that
on
the one, the
it's in the
middle
middle
right?
left. Middle left,
Wait,
actually.
that wait,
There's
middle
another
left?
Yuri. There are multiple Yuri shows on this.
Okay. I was about to say like the one in the middle
Simone
right looks anyways, middle
Simone
left. Okay, go ahead.
so Simone has an interesting plot. It's kind of a little mysterious. You don't actually get the whole picture of what's going on in the world, and they never really tell you everything. But the main gist is everybody grows up as a female, and then when they come of age, they can change to male if they want to. It's
Oh,
it's an interesting world. So that's why it's a
it's
kind
kind
of
of
a
like
Yuri
real
show.
life, except you get to choose. And no,
Yeah,
that's not like a.
yeah,
And
you
no,
get to
that's not
choose
a.
the gender you want.
Yeah, and FYI, that's not like a weird statement. If you don't know this, everyone starts out as female technically, and
But
biologically speaking. But anyways, sorry.
But so what happens is there's like an invading force that you don't get that much information about, but the main thing is there's these the girls you see in the picture, they're all people who are able to fight them. So what they do, they pilot these special ships, and how they get the energy to pilot them, they actually kiss each other, and then they get in the ships and fight.
Oh, I know this show. Sorry, I looked it up. Keep going.
So the plot is really fun, interesting. There's a whole bunch of things that go on, but it's kind of mysterious because you never get the whole picture. But my friend and I were like, this is the best show of like it was like 2006 or something. I don't remember, but it was the best show of that season or that year in my opinion.
Yes, it was 2006.
Yeah, because I remember there was this anime company called Media Blasters, I think that was their name, and they used to have a lot of anime that they would release really cheap because they wouldn't dub it, and like they would just sub it. And I remember buying this box set for this show like really cheap. We're talking like less than $20 or $20 at the most. And it was always on like my watch list. I think because it was all kind of Yuri looking.
Yeah, it
And
basically feels like a Yuri show because they all grow as females. So it's kind of a
exactly.
little bit cheating, but because some of them do turn male afterwards when you see that kind of
Oh.
show.
Yeah, it was on my watch list for a long time, and I don't think I sold that DVD. I think it just got lost along the way in my life. Oops. Oops. But yeah, maybe I still have it somewhere. Maybe it's in a box and it'll turn up. Anyway, I forgot
So
about this.
I guess let's go to the other Yuri show that you
Yeah,
were thinking of.
because there's two girls kissing right there.
Yeah, that's the point. Well, I did that picture specifically because I shipped them together. Although the main character ship is actually a different one with the red haired girl and the white
Oh,
haired girl. But
what show is this?
so this is Strawberry Panic, which I feel like gets lumped together a little bit with Maria Samagamitaro because they kind of came out around the same period.
This okay, not to get too much into the weeds here, but this was also by Media Blasters. I had this DVD box. Anyways, keep going.
I guess Media Blaster liked the Yuri stuff.
Yeah, this is like, oh my god, keep going. Yeah,
I think the fun thing about this show, so there's a lot of shows I feel like the romance shows don't tend to show that much actual like kissing and action. I feel like they always tease about it, but they never really give you that much. This actually had a lot of kissing and action going on, and a lot of shipping. Like it's basically a pure girls' school, and there's a whole bunch of drama between all the girls and who they're trying to get together with and stuff like that. It's basically a whole bunch of love triangles and love polygons. So that's the fun stuff in it, and you can. It's also interesting. That's actually I think the writer is the same writer for Love Live actually.
Oh,
So that's another interesting thing about it. And they
um,
all came out. They all came out of the so Love Live and Strawberry Panic both came out of. There's a magazine that readers participate in called Dengeki G's,
oh,
and
I've
they
heard of it.
both
Yeah.
both those shows came out of that.
Oh, okay, that's cool. God damn, Media Blast is doing all these fucking Yuri things. I remember they had a show called Green Green, which I did watch. That was like a semi Yuri thing. I don't remember the whole plot, but I'll never forget this because I was watching the special features of it, and it was Yuri Horia was in it. Yui Horia, I said that name weird, but she's a voice actor, very very famous. We interviewed her, fun fact, but very famous. I think she was Toru Honda, if I'm not mistaken, in the original, not in the new one. Um, and she was someone in Green Green, and I'll never forget when in the special features there was an interview with her, and they were interviewing her about how it's a girl love story. You know what and mind you, this is no knock to Yuri Horiev. She probably didn't mean it like this. It's probably like bad translation, and it's obviously like 15 years ago, but they were like, oh, what are your feelings on this relationship? And she's like, oh, it's a really cute relationship. I love the characters. I love the show. My only worry is if these were real characters, what would they do later in life? Eventually they're gonna have to grow up and like they're gonna have to abandon this romance. And I'm like, or they don't have to. Are they just
That's why Yuri anime tends to be very tragic because they
yeah,
always make
exactly.
it like the character's gonna die or something else
And I'm
happens.
pretty sure that that's what happens in Green Green, by the way. And mild spoiler, I don't remember. I don't remember if that's what happens for sure. For all you know, you watch it thinking they're gonna die and they live, but I think one of them dies at the end. But anyway,
Okay, so
but
another
go ahead.
another fun tidbit about Strawberry Panic. So the actually those two the seiyus of the two girls on the picture. Let me see, what were their names? It was Mai Nakahara and Ai Shimizu. They
Hmm.
actually filmed a PV where they kiss, which is some
Oh
good sauce as well.
my god,
So they're really close friends, but they actually did a kissing scene for it because what the show is.
you can kiss your homies. It's funny because strawberry, well, strawberries, I should say, in general, are like used as a euphemism for like Yuri and girl stuff too. So I mean, in
Yeah,
general,
yeah, a little bit. I think cherry blossom obviously is more euphemism.
yeah. but it's one of the things. If you call your thing strawberry something or something strawberry, it's like, oh, it's probably gonna be girls kissing at some point, or like if you have the image of strawberries. Have you ever seen that Bish video for Orchestra? I just remember this, and mind you, I knew this long before that. I've been familiar with the trope, so to speak. But there's a part where they're feeding to the strawberries and they kiss. Anyways, girl stuff. Keep
Girl
going.
stuff. I guess the other kind of girl stuff is Love Live Sunshine. So this is probably the Love Live I associate with most because it's the one I most grew up with. I mean, I was into the original Love Live too, but this one was the one I remember best because I did the most things with, and I cosplayed a whole crap load of characters in this show. So that's one of the reasons why.
I, um, I still prefer the original. What makes you like this one more than the original, besides the cosplay stuff?
I think I was just a little more I relate a little bit more to some of the characters, especially I mean, I was mostly Mari. So
Uh,
she was a very fun and ridiculous character. She would do a lot of stupid things. But this show was it definitely I feel like it definitely wasn't as popular as the original one because the original one just didn't have much competition for one reason. And there ended up being a lot more competition for, you know, people are into like rhythm games and stuff like that by the time this show started coming out.
my only minor complaint, or not even complaint, my only minor gripe with Sunshine, and maybe it's just me feeling this way, but everyone felt like legally distinct versions of Love Live 1. Like, maybe that's just me, but I just felt like everyone had a counterpart to each show. And I can't remember them all right now. I don't want to hurt my brain trying to remember the names to each other's.
Some of them were kind of similar, some of them were not. I feel like so the thing that was interesting about this show compared to the original is that it felt a lot like the original when it first started, but then
Hmm.
it grew into its own show by I think the end of the first season. The second season felt really different from from the original show.
Yeah, I've also never seen the second season, to be honest. But yeah.
Okay, so
You should
Sorry,
watch it.
of Sunshine, I mean. But not. Anyways, we're going to say, oh, keep going.
I said you should watch it. I think you'll get a different take on it if you watch the second season.
Okay. And what are the other ones?
before that,
Yes.
so I assume Mari's your favorite character from Sunshine.
Yeah, Mari's my favorite.
Okay, I
Is
can't
Mari the
blame you
one?
that much. My favorite's Yohane, Yoshiko, whatever you want to
Yohane's
call it.
actually my second favorite.
Okay,
so
you have good taste.
still a good choice.
Doesn't what's her name do? What's her name? Doesn't Xanthi do a voice in this? Or is
Mm,
that a different Love Live? Did I just show my bad Love Live? I think she's from a different. She's from the other show.
I'll
isn't she?
check. Keep going.
Anyways, keep going. I
I'll
think she's
post in
from the-
chat.
So the interesting thing is there hasn't been any shows. I think there hasn't been an anime related to this in quite a while. Probably been like at least 5 years. But
Well,
they're
everyone
coming out
cares about I can't say that one.
Nijigasaki.
and Liela right now, but
Yeah.
There you go.
they're actually coming off a new Love Live Sunshine show, and
Oh,
it's
I didn't
gonna
know
be.
that.
So it's funny. It's gonna be an isekai based on a fantasy of Yohane's.
Oh my god.
So it's gonna be a Yohane isekai show.
Oh, Xanthi's the original Love Live. Okay. Oh, she's Hanayo. I don't think I've ever seen the. I've never saw the dub because I think when I watched it, it was. I don't know if there was a dub. I might have been watching it illegally somewhere. Anyway.
Yeah,
Manuel
there's
just admitting to all his
dub.
crimes on stream today.
Well, I mean,
Must be Tuesday.
it's different. I didn't steal. Oh, stealing, isn't it? But I didn't steal physically. Anyway, what else is there?
Anyways, let's see. Let's go to I guess this was one of my favorite shoujo romance shows when I grew up. I actually so we're talking about Marmalade Boy here, which is like
I thought it was the one. I'm like, yeah, I've never seen it, but I think I had all the DVDs, and I was like,
okay, so this is the only I think this is probably the longest show on this list. I think it was like 70
yeah,
episodes, something like that. So this
last.
show was like when I got in, this was the show I got into in college. It was crazy because I got my hands on the first set of tapes long ago, and we watched like the first season or so, and then I didn't have any access to more for a long time until I finally got all the rest of it from some fan servers. So I marathoned the whole damn thing after that. It was crazy. This show had some of the cute. I think the premise is really interesting because back this is a long time ago as well. So the main two characters, it's you and Miki. Um, their parents basically swapped partners and got married together, and they all came together in one family. So it's one of the most interesting premise plots. So of course they end up being step siblings.
Hmm. Sorry, I was
And
just thinking back to the quick concert thing. Keep going.
and then there's a lot of so there's a whole bunch of romance hijinks and ships and breakups and everything. It's like one of the most fun, crazy drama, shoujo romance dramas you can get. And you get so many episodes, and they have little fun things like the eye catches in between. When the commercials
Yeah.
happen, they'll have like a little thing where it'll kind of show certain characters being together at that moment, or something's gonna happen between those characters. They would have these little cute touches like that. And the music was also really, really fucking good. It was like one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard also.
Hmm. It, yeah, it's funny because I had this on DVD. Like I think it came like in 4 box sets, and I had part 1 and 3 and 4, and I didn't have part 2 until I got it at the Anime Expo, like really cheap. And I just googled it right now. Apparently, you can still get them really cheap, but by the time I got them all together, it wasn't that long ago. We're talking like 2017, 2018. And by that point, I was just like, I'm not gonna watch this just because I'm lazy. And, who does DVDs in 2018? So I never saw it, even though
Watch
I, yeah,
I
uh,
definitely it was definitely this and the other show I was really into at the time, which was kind of similar because both shows have the main characters are a redhead girl and a blonde guy, so it's really funny. But Kodomo no Mocha also had that kind of. It was like kind of felt like the kids' version of Marmalade Boy a little bit because it had the same kind of character look. But that show is also very fun and had that one was like more of the crack-filled kids for a form of a like romance show, I guess.
I should watch it. It'll be a nice change up after all the shit I've been watching. Okay, and
Okay, and I
uh,
guess the last one
oh,
on this
Tutu.
list
Yeah.
is Princess
Sorry.
Tutu, which I think it was, it's really, really, I guess an interesting take on the fairy tale, where, like, I guess, it incorporates a lot of ballet and fairy tale stories together into a thing, and it's like has some really amazing music. It has a really good plot. I feel like the whole plot from beginning to end is great, and um, I feel like you just have to watch it to really understand. But it's just like the music is that really classical feeling because it's basically a ballet anime about a cute. The main character's name is basically Ahiro, which means duck. So she's kind of a duck character, and she's
Well, she is a
trying
duck.
to save the prince, which his name is Muto. And then
No,
they have a really gorgeous evil crow girl named Claire. And
no.
she works for the evil crow. I forget what they're called, but like the evil crow thing. And yeah, it's just a really fun plot, and it has really um. I think a whole bunch of us actually watched the final episode together at Anime Expo a long, long ago.
Would you call this a magical girl show? And there's a reason I asked this.
If- I
Huh?
mean, she does kind of have a transfer. It's not like a standard. I wouldn't really call it like it's more of a fairy tale ballet show. I feel
Hmm.
like not so much a magical girl show. A little
Honestly,
bit.
I agree. Like I thought I was gonna include it. I have my little fun little Princess Tutu story. The only other one I have for like any of these anime is that if anyone ever wonders why I'm so like weirdly obsessive with never doing the same panel twice, and I'm really obsessive with this, by the way. I'll like lose sleep over it. Like even if I like when I used to do cons back to back almost, and is because a friend of mine, I love them to death. I won't name them just for the fuck of it, but I haven't seen them in a couple years. They still go to cons. They also do panels, and this is long before I was ever doing panels. And they did a one on magical girls. I won't say the exact panel, so I don't give it away. And they talked about Princess Tutu. And I for the record, I don't really care that they included it in Magical Girl ones. My problem was that I saw their panel like 3 or 4 different times, like the way you go see Friends panels, and
They kept repeating the same stuff.
they did the same panel 4 times, and like I guess that's okay, but like for someone like me, like I went to it 4 times, and I was like, I could do this panel, and I don't mean to say like I do it better, but I mean like I could go up by the 4th time and co-host it with her, because I feel like I know it from seeing it in the same panel, and I know what slides next. I know what she's gonna say, and ever since then, I'm like, I need to like never do that. Not that that's a bad thing to do if you do it. It's more of a me thing than your panel. The panel was good. But yeah, it had a lot. I just remember Princess Tutu was like,
your goals. Like, are you looking to just keep giving the same information, or do you
yeah,
want to give new information every time?
exactly. But that's the eternal question. And JD, this is your moment. I know we don't have time to do yours, but you could just put it right there when you edit later, and everyone watching can freeze frame it and
then try to
comment
figure out
below.
what that all says about me.
Exactly. It's funny because obviously Merli's one here it's a lot of romance, a lot of girls. Like, and I don't mean just girl on girl. I mean,
Thinking about actually that we're kind of Goat Chaos was very close to getting on the list. Razafon. So stuff. I do have some more like I guess gender neutral or boyish shows, but they just barely didn't make the list.
yeah, Fushigi Yugi. It doesn't matter.
Fushigi.
Fushigi Yugi was the only one that didn't miss my list. Really, there's a bunch of others I could have added, but the one I really wish there was a 10th slot for was that one.
Yeah, I really like Fushigi actually, but I don't feel like I feel like it is a very messy show.
I mean,
And I don't think it's like the highest quality show, so I don't know if I can really justify putting that on a top 9.
yeah, there's some issues with it too. Somebody who's watching right now might be like, that show's very Chinese, and it's like it takes place like in Isekai China, basically.
Yeah, it is another isekai before isekai too.
Exactly.
But I think that the thing is that I think a lot of girls were really into the boys in that show for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
The fuck out of those boys.
Tamahome, is that his name?
Tamahome was a big one for sure. And then
Yeah.
I forget what's the
This the
one
Emperor dude.
there's a cross-dressing boy, but
Oh yeah.
what was his name?
Oh my god. I don't remember anymore, but yeah. And I saw the show recently too. I saw that show like I think 2020. Like I was doing a rewatch with a friend of ours, and yeah. I saw the whole thing too, like including the sequels, which were not very good all around.
Noriko, that's it.
There you go.
Also, I have to say the main character Fushigi definitely exemplified the really useless baka,
Oh, definitely.
shoujo protagonist. Like she was like one of the most typical versions of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like calling her Miyaka Baka.
There you go. That's her name, Miyaka. I forgot about that. Yeah. It's a good show though. I like it. I mean, okay, you definitely. I think you can watch it and not regret watching it, whether or not.
I definitely think it's fun because it kind of feels a little train wrecky, kind of like
Yeah.
Code Geass, and Code Geass is definitely a must watch as well.
But yeah. So the takeaway, a lot of girls and stuff on yours. My takeaway is a lot of big anime titties and a lot of shows I like to steal from or think that they stole from me. That's my takeaway. Also, fun fact: Dirty Pair Flash. The main character in that's a girl named it's Yuri and K, and the original Dirty Pair. A lot of people like to attribute like, oh, the term Yuri came from her, and no, it didn't. It came from one of the original actresses who played one of the characters in the Rose of Versailles Takarazaka musical. And one of the first stars is named Yuri something. I forgot her it's a stage name anyway. I forgot her last name, but yeah, that's where Yuri came from. Some people say it's from Dirty Pair, the original, not Flash. But anyways, there's no Go Nagai on my list. I fucking love Go Nagai. I just realized that. No Cutie Honey, no Devilman.
No Devilman Crybaby.
Devilman Crybaby.
Okay,
Manuel just hates every new thing version of a thing he loved, even when it's just clearly superior series.
We can say you say Verly.
I was gonna say, Devil Lady was fun.
Devil Lady.
I actually watched that when I had a foot injury and was stuck in bed, and I marathoned the whole show, and it was so fucking. That would definitely be on my just barely off the
I
list.
forgot. It's funny because I haven't thought about the show in a while. That's the only good adaptation. That's the only good TV adaptation I think of Devilman, and it's funny because Devilman Lady, but it tells a very similar story, and obviously it's its own story because it did have its own manga adaptation and everything like that. Or it's from a different manga, but most Devilman adaptations are not very good in general. Like they're either OVAs that rush.
I'm glad that's the only one I actually watched. I didn't watch
Yeah,
anything else, but
they're not worth watching. Don't watch Crybaby. Don't watch the new one. But Devil Lady, yeah, I forgot about that. It's a good
that's
show.
great. I need to rewatch that. That was a really
I want to watch it too. That was one of my. That was back when I was like when I was still buying around the same time when my friend stole that DVD. But like I was still. Don't you like how the story turned to like we to my friends? But but I remember I bought those DVDs, the Devil Lady ones, one by one for like $30 each. That was bullshit. Anyway. Oh man, let's wrap it up. Hi. Oh, look at Tia. Please marry us. Yes, marry us both. Marry us at Fanime. We're
me,
all there.
Manuel. I'm talking about me and my wife. What are you
Oh,
talking
what
about?
the hell? I thought us was me. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Anyway, that's a good part to end this on. So we're just gonna hate each other now. Yeah, watch all of our anime. Like I want to watch some of these again just after talking about them. Like most of them I haven't seen in forever, and I usually don't watch anime. That's kind of like my little secret. But I've been watching a ton of it recently, like so much. So I kind of got the anime mood again.
Actually, so if we're gonna talk about new anime to watch, I think a lot of people obviously talk about Oshinoko.
Do you
Eh,
like
I
it?
think, I
I
think
haven't seen it.
if it keeps being good, it could definitely be in my top 9 easily. It definitely would have considered that if more of it was out. But I think it's unfair to put that up there after 3 episodes.
Maybe I'll watch it. But yeah,
That's really, especially the first episode's insane. If you watch it, you'll be like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
I've actually heard
Your mind will be blown.
I've heard mixed reactions because some people didn't like it, but most
I,
people liked it.
whoever didn't like it has really bad taste.
Yeah, I don't know because it seems to be overwhelmingly positive. But I have a few friends who are like, "I cannot watch the rest of the show. What is wrong with you guys?" And I'm like, "Wait, what happened?" And I'll figure it
I
out
mean,
later.
if you like idol anime at all, you should love this show. Just for that reason.
And I'm glad we're not doing the idol panel this year because I probably would have felt inclined to have rush watched it. Anyway, anyway, that's pretty much wraps it up. We're doing anime this whole month. I'm not sure what the next week's will be. I think next week we're doing shorter anime, but I'm not sure who will be on it. Is what I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie, I might rehash a bit of my choices, but I already have some ideas in my head for other shorter anime. But there's a few that I said in this list that I didn't say the last time we did a shorter anime recommendation. So well, tune in. I have some ideas. I have some things to throw in there. I have some hats to throw in the ring. And yeah. Anyway,
What else are we
Merly,
doing
thank
this
you for
week?
being here. Oh, nothing. I don't think we're doing anything. We might do gaming secret.
So, Manuel, you still suck.
Yeah, I still suck. We might do gaming somewhat like last minute and secret if we do, but there's no D&D stream this Friday. We did it all every Friday for a month. We're taking a break. So next week is Tuesday. It's going to be UPZ, and then Friday will be D&D, and then once again secret gaming because Warren's schedule is wonky. Yeah, there's no Cinco de Mayo D&D. I try to convince them. I'm like, how are we
You're
not
supposed to
going
be
to?
at the party outside. Why are you
No,
inside
no,
playing D&D?
but you don't know. Our D&D session is a drunk D&D session. How the fuck are we skipping Cinco de Mayo? And I could say that because I'm Hispanic and I'm allowed to be stereotypical on the
I
holiday of
mean,
my people.
even or not, it's just a day people use to excuse a whole lot of drinking.
But yeah, but a lot of people are like, you should. But yeah, it doesn't fuck it. I don't fucking care. I'll fucking drink on St. Patrick's Day too. Anyway,
See, that's the
but
good thing
yeah,
about being Irish and Mexican.
so yeah, we're wasting a really good day. But what can I say? It's maybe I'll do a stream with Tiffany and I'll get drunk because it's Tiffany's birthday. Does that count as doxing? Should I said that? I don't know.
Wait, was it Cinco de Mayo? Really?
Yeah, it's the only reason. Hers is
Okay.
one of the few birthdays I ever remember in my life because it's an easy to remember day.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to sneak up on Tiffany then.
Yeah, beat her up. Just sneak up and like punch her in the back of the head for me. In a
Okay.
loving, in a
That's what
loving way.
that, I don't know. I think you're supposed to birthday tap that one. But
Anyway, anyway, no abuse. I say this as a joke. Don't abuse anyone. Also, Luffy gone and the not gonna. Oh wait, all people are born on the same day.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're
that's it.
all born on May 5th because it's
Wait,
Children's Day.
Luffy is born on May 5th.
Yes, because it's
The
Children's Day.
monkey.
Monkey D. Luffy. And the
Anyway.
Nakano sisters are because they're quintuplets.
Oh my god. Anyway, we're yeah. Also, quick plug: we're doing Fanime in 3 weeks. If you're there, come to our come to A to G's panels. I'm doing Magical Girls with Garway, and it's funny because the panel is 1 hour, but I have put in weeks of anime for this show. I mean, that one panel. So please come to it.
If Manuel put as much effort into the streams as he did the panels.
You don't even know. And there's a 90s anime panel, a music panel that I wrote back in January. Finished it and then completely rewrote. So nobody even got to see the proto version. So now you're getting the good second or third time version. That's how much time I put in these panels. And there's also JAV one and the 80s one. Put time in those two. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying the JAV one's a lot more co-writing-y because I wrote that one with Tiffany. Fun fact, who was on last time, and with Snacks, who's been on stuff as well. But yeah, you should see our chat. All we do is talk about Japanese porn for like hours on end sometimes as research. And that's it. Wrap up. Peace out. Thank you for watching. Good night. Marius Hina.